And now, it's time for another Dice Tower review with Tom Vasel.
Hello everybody, I'm Tom Vasel. I think that's better for my voice overall. That's one of the monsters, that's Kong from King of New York. And today we're taking a look at a new expansion for King of New York called King of New York Power Up. Now this is actually a sequel expansion. Okay, so there was King of Tokyo, which, a great game. King of Tokyo had an expansion, Power Up. Now there's King of New York, which was a sequel to King of Tokyo. And now we have King of New York Power Up, which is an expansion for that. It's pretty much the exact same expansion, just with different powers for the monsters of King of New York. Now, if you don't know what I'm talking about, King of New York, the Power Up expansion, is going to give you power cards, evolution cards are called, for your monster that give them special abilities which differentiate them. In King of New York and King of Tokyo, the monsters are all pretty much the same. These cards are different. But what's really cool about this expansion is it comes with cards that you can use the monsters from King of New York in King of New York and in King of Tokyo. Let me show you. In this game, each player is going to get a deck of evolution cards. And this game comes with a separate deck of evolution cards for both the King of Tokyo and for King of New York. The cards are almost identical in each deck. There's some wording that's changed between cards, like some might say when you roll numbers, and the next one might say when you roll buildings. There are some differences, and I'll point out some of the major differences as we go through here. But what you're going to do is you're going to shuffle your deck of evolution cards. You're going to draw two, pick one to keep at the beginning of the game, and then shuffle the rest. Whenever you roll 3 hearts on dice, not only do you get to heal if you're outside of Tokyo or Manhattan, but you also, again, draw 2 cards and decide which one you want to keep. When you play a card, if it's temporary evolution, you keep these in your hand, and you can play them when you want to, and whatever happens, happens. Permanent evolutions go in front of you and give you a special ability. Now this expansion also comes with Mega Shark here. Mega Shark is a giant shark, which is going to please shark fans everywhere. And it's just another character. But they do have cards for him, so we'll take a look at his cards first. So first, he comes with 2 surprise attack cards in his deck. And when you play this and someone else hits you, you discard it to draw 1. You're hoping it's the other surprise attack, and if so, they take 3 damage, which is a lot of fun, so that's cool. He also has Left Shark, which gives you an extra point for every 1 you roll. Here, and by the way, I'm showing you the King of Tokyo cards for the most part. I'm just going to point out in the King of New York ones when there's difference. So again, many times they're minor, so like the one here, gain 1 extra star for each 1 you roll. For the King of New York one, it would be for a different symbol that you roll. Anyway, here, Lone Shark, you can give this card and 3 energy to someone in Tokyo, and they're going to lose 1 health unless they pay 6, which is hilarious. And then when they do pay, you get the Lone Shark back, which is really funny. This is actually a really fun card, and it's kind of thematic, I guess, as one giant monster is a Lone Shark to another. Card Shark, you can show extra cards. Here you can change a 1 to attack, which is a great thing. This is why the shark is one of my favorite characters, because who wants points when we can be attacking other people? Don Megalo, you can lose a health. When a monster loses a health point from my attack, I can name a price. And if they pay me the price, they don't lose health, but they have to get out of King of Tokyo. And then White Death, which is one of my favorite cards in the game, gives you an extra die. That's fantastic. You can't win with points. Who wants to win with points anyway? Yay for the shark. All right, let's take a look now at Kong here. For those of you forgetting, Kong is the big giant ape. Kong has the Red Star Rocket. For each 2, you add an attack to your roll. Great. This is a temporary one, though, so you play this and then it's discarded, so it's 1 time. Here you basically can steal everyone's energy and redistribute it, which is great. What I do with this one is I wait till I have a lot of energy, and then I spend it all, then I play this card. Here, all other monsters lose 2 health. Red Dawn. Although, again, here's where I want to show the difference here in the King of Tokyo, King of New York. You're going to add 3 to your roll. So this is one where they're pretty different. Glass Nose, everyone else shows you your evolution cards, and you can make everyone discard one. So if you have those temporary ones that you're worried about. Here, when you roll a triple one, all other monsters lose a hit point for every point you gain this turn. And then in the King of New York one, when you roll 3 of the buildings, you aren't attacked by units. So this is one of the instances. Kong actually has the most differences in his cards from King of Tokyo to King of New York. Here, when you roll no health, you get 3 dice. And if you roll at least 1 health, you stay in play with 2. So when you die, this can bring you back, which is really handy. I really like this. It almost makes Kong, if you get lucky with your roll, invincible. Again, Kong is one of my favorites from this set too. Here, for each 3 of a kind you roll, your neighbors lose 1. Or here, you can, the same thing in the King of New York, where you can use as many of your building dice as you want to destroy a building that's not even in your borough, which can make other monsters lose damage, which I great. Iron Curtain, other monsters who yield Tokyo lose a health. Stay in there, you cowards. Or when a monster leaves your borough, they lose 1 health. Actually, I like the Iron Curtain and the King of Tokyo set better. So that is Kong. Now let's take a look at Sheriff. Remember Sheriff? He's the guy who escaped from Toy Story. He has Deputy Sheriff, which when you lose health from someone else's attack, you get points instead of losing health. Ha! What a great thing. That is a one-time card use, and you can see it's different in King of New York again. He also has Fastest in the West. When you lose health from another monster, you roll 6 dice, and if you roll at least 1 attack, you don't lose health, and they lose health for each attack you roll. So the Sheriff is kind of a good defensive character. Jurassic Roar, all other monsters lose health when you roll attacks, so you're hitting everybody. Again, this is temporary, so it's a one-time thing, but man, there is a time where this can be really great. Here you can just move a unit in your borough to another borough, which is okay. It's not as cool as this other Jurassic Roar from King of Tokyo. Dead or Alive, you give it to someone else who made you lose hit points, and then you basically put out a bounty on their head. The Short Arm of the Law, your attacks always wound your neighbors, which is nice. This town ain't big enough. Other monsters who control Tokyo lose life on your turn. Or here, a monster in your borough loses 2 life, and you can kick them out of your borough. This is the case where I think I like the King of New York card better. You can choose to roll 1 die fewer to make someone else yield Tokyo. And when you roll exactly 1-1, you get an extra point for Lone Star Lizard. I think that one's done more for theming than anything else. It's okay. Now, Mantis here has some cool temporary evolutions. He gets an extra die on 1 turn. And then if it's in the discard pile and ever you roll 3 health, you can take this back, which is really convenient. So rolling the health can get you this same one back over and over again. He has Armor, where you can't lose health until the end of the turn. That's good for 1 use. Or will 1 use add 3 to your roll, which is cool. Or in the King of New York, you can take back Superstar if you don't have it. He also has permanent ones. You always add 1 to your roll, or you always add 2 to your roll. So if you like points, Mantis is one. If you're going to take health, you roll a die for each health you would have lost, and each heart you roll reduces damage by 2. That's a really powerful one. It gives you a 33% chance of avoiding damage. Here you gain energy if you have less than 8, or 2 energy if you have less than 5. So the worse off life gets, the better you are if there's more units in your borough in the King of New York one. And then the Mega Chainsaw. You put energy on this card, and once per turn you can take energy from this card to add attacks to your roll. Mantis is not my favorite of the new ones, but honestly, none of these are really bad. All right, Captain Fish, which, again, shoot for the dome on the head. It seems like that would kill him. He has Catch and Release. This is a temporary one. When you're not in Tokyo, the monster in Tokyo loses 1 and gets out of Tokyo. And then you take control. Get out of my face. Here you play after losing health from an attack from a monster who controls Tokyo, and then you can switch them. Far from the Spotlight. If you have at least 3 points, you can lose those 3 points. You get a combination of 5, energy, and health. Now, this is one that I like a lot, because I don't like to win by points anyway. I like to win by attacking. So if I'm playing Captain Fish, I'll gladly sacrifice 3 points to get my health back so I can go and attack other people. The New York one lets you get rid of the Superstar card to take a combination of those. Starfish DNA. Get an extra point for every heart you rolled, and this temporarily lets you go above 10. You can have 12 health for a while. Here, this one here, you put 3 there, and you can reduce damage in the future. Curse of the Titanic. If only one monster is wounded by your attack and loses at least 2 health, which will often happen if they're in Tokyo and you're attacking Tokyo, other monsters also lose a health. And you also have Titanic Anchor, where you can basically throw an anchor at somebody and it makes them slower until they pay. And this one, which is a really powerful one, if you take exactly 2 damage, you don't take damage at all. There's a lot of times you take only 2 damage. So this is a very nice one. And this is probably my favorite one. If I see that one, I'm taking that armor for Captain Fish. All right, 2 monsters left. We have Rob here, the gumball machine robot. Rob has an infinite loop, which each time you roll energy, you will get 1 energy immediately. Of course, your luck might be that you don't roll any energy when you play infinite loop because it is a temporary one. This one's much cooler. Hard reset. Basically skips your turn, gives you 3 health, 3 energy, and draw an evolution card. Really useful. I get this one at the beginning of the game. I'm keeping it because I'll probably need it later on. Here you can take 2 turns in a row. Here, for 1 turn, you get an energy for every point you gain that turn. Then, you can always add 1 or 2 to your roll as a permanent evolution. That's better than the fish guy. Here, you can steal other people's energy as long as they get 2 or more. You can steal points from monsters with the most or health from monsters with the most. Although that's very different in King of New York. You can spend an energy to use buildings anywhere you want to. And then the Tesla Accelerator, if you roll at least 2 energy, add an attack to your roll. So he's kind of trying to roll different combinations to get his evolutions to work. All right, all these guys pale besides Draconis. Draconis is the best. He is the one that if no one else picks him, I will. I actually like Kong and the Shark, Mega Shark better. Theming-wise, Draconis is whatever, but his cards. First, he has Catch 'em All. This one annoys other people while you're... Oh, no, I'm sorry. It's something different. If you roll that combo, you get 5 points. All right, that's not so bad. It's a little bit different here. If you destroy an infantry, tank, and plane, you get 5 points. New theme song. You can take back your dice and roll them 3 more times. Well, that's nice. If you're in Tokyo, you get a point for each health you roll during this turn. That's nice if you want points. Once per turn, you can change one of your attacks to a 1 or 2. You're like, Tom, why do you like this guy? For this card here, the Mishkin gun. If you roll 3 attack, you roll a die, and something will happen. It might give you a power card. It might give you an evolution card. It might give you a point. It might make you lose a health. It might give you 2. I love this. It's very... The results are different on the King of New York one. But that's not it. We're not done yet. He also has the bazooka. If you roll 4 dice with the same thing, you get +2 attack. Which means if you roll 4 attack, you now have 6 attack. I love it. He also has tornado wings. If you roll 3 hearts, everyone else loses a hit point. A little bit different here in the King of New York version. And then monsters who don't yield Tokyo after you make them lose health with your attack lose 2 extra health. Those 3 cards are amazing. Great expansion. King of New York, just a lot of fun. The power-up, I really like King of New York, but as time goes by, I end up playing King of Tokyo more often than King of New York. And so that the fact that I can now use the King of New York monsters and my King of Tokyo monsters, and we have all these, is great. Now, there's one rule that if you want to, you can draft power cards. You can kind of form your own power individual, which is neat, although you can get some pretty weird combinations, and I can make a fighting machine. And you can do that if you have maybe like Panda Kai or some of the other monsters that don't have power cards and probably will never get them. You can still use the power cards from this set if you want to. You can draft or just give a whole set to somebody else. But these power cards really help differentiate the monsters. They make it fun. They make health, which is useful, but when you're in Tokyo, it's not useful at all. It gives you something else to roll for. You get 2 hearts, you're like, oh, I want an evolution card. And every time you get an evolution card, you're like, yeah. It actually speeds gameplay up a bit because the attack cards are that much more. The temporary evolutions are cards people are just smashing on each other. This is really, I was not so enthusiastic about King of Tokyo Power Up when I first reviewed it. But as the years have gone by, that's become a must expansion for me, and I really love this one too. I almost always play with it. Even if people have never played King of Tokyo or King of New York before, you might as well just throw these in. Also, did you miss the fact there's a shark here? Mega Shark, another character. Anyone who owns King of New York, King of Tokyo is going to buy this expansion just for that. You want another character. So this is great, fantastic, wonderful, terrific. Hooray. Now we can play King of Tokyo or King of New York with these monsters. I have such a huge array of monsters. I can mix the power cards from this set with the power cards from the set Power Up for King of Tokyo. If you want to draft and you have a really cool draft, all kinds of stuff, I'll make the ultimate fighting machine that time. Yeah, well, who's playing for points anymore? I know some people are. This works for people who play for points, but it also works for people like me who want to see one monster reigning supreme over all of them. Lots of fun. Dice Tower Judgment into my collection.
Thanks so much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews, as well as our top-rated audio podcast at Dicetower.com. You can also find other great shows at Dicetowernetwork.com. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower. The Dice Tower is sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc., where you can find great games for great prices. Cool stuff in stock. Check them out at CoolStuffInc.com.